around democracy and the rule of law. Of course, we were all aware of also the issue concerning the local government election in Osun State, the issues surrounding the election, the orders and the counter orders. We have had opportunity, to talk about contradictory orders by various courts, and of course we'll see that play out again on this particular issue, where the appeal court have given an order that the elected local government officials in 2022 will be reinstated.
Yes.
While of course there is the High Court. The High Court in Osun State also gave, of course, a contradictory order that the local government election can go on. And of course the government of Osun State followed what the High Court have said, and the election was conducted where the PDP allegedly swept all the seats, both the chairmanship and the councillorship position in the state. Of course. So maybe we'll get your opinion on, of course, the legal implication of all the things that happened, because even the IG of police, the Inspector General of Police, had a word to say. The Attorney General of the Federation also had a word to say. So what's your opinion on
what played out in Osun State is another demonstration of acts that tend to undermine democracy, undermine rule of law, and create confusion in the polity. It is very clear that for any society, any nation, any country to be sustained, there must be willingness of all the parties concerned to abide with and comply with the law and judgments and orders of courts. It is condemnable, and we've had cause to do so in the past, that where a court has given an order of judgment, another court ought to give an order or judgment contrary to that particular one, except in cases of appeal. What played out in Osun State is laughable. Why do I say so? We know that in the hierarchy of courts, the highest court in Nigeria is the Supreme Court, followed by the Court of Appeal, then followed by the High Court, then the Federal High Court, and other courts down the line. And the Court of Appeal, in its wisdom, had ordered that the local government chairmen that were elected previously be reinstated. And that order has not been appealed against. It is still valid and subsisting. And then the High Court of the same state went ahead to give an order that an election be conducted. Then he said, with respect to the judge concerned, some will call it judicial rascality. If a superior court has given an order of judgment, and then a judge of a lower cadre goes ahead to say something radically different from what has been said, have been described as judicial rascality. How can a judge, in the face of an order of a superior court, which is still valid and subsisting, go ahead to give a contrary one? And then even the Attorney General of the Federation, who is the chief law officer of this country, the person who is entrusted with the duty of defending the constitution of this nation, has come out to say that it will be wrong for them to go ahead and conduct election. That if there's any election properly conducted, it is illegal, because there is an order of a superior court which has said don't go ahead and conduct any election. And it's part of what the Attorney General and Minister for Justice had said. They ignored him and went ahead and conducted the election. Now the question is, the average man in Nigeria and in Osun State, what will be the impression that they will have concerning what has taken place? It will be given different interpretations. And of course, in the usual way, some will say that how can one judge, how can a judge give an order when the higher court had given order in respect of the same thing? And the two orders are conflicting. And the implication of this is that Nigeria as a nation will need to go back to the drawing board. And particularly politicians, they must not destroy the fabric of our democracy. Because if an order is given and a group or persons not satisfied with that order, instead of going on appeal, they decide to approach another court, even if it's a court of coordinate jurisdiction or a lower court, to obtain another contrary to the other one, is an abuse, and it is condemnable.
All right, now let's get the opinion of our Zoom guest, Sayaji, the chairman of MBA Makurdi branch. Mr. Sayaji, of course, I'm sure that you followed the local government election in Osun State and all the issues surrounding that election. Of course, where we have the issue of orders and counter orders, you know, the directive from the Attorney General of the Federation and the Inspector General of Police, and of course, and what happened thereafter. So the question is, of course, what does this portend to the democracy in Nigeria? You know, what is the status of democracy in Nigeria, whereby a court of higher standing would give orders and another court of law will give a contrary order? And we have had you know, courts to deliberate on the issue of
conflicting judgments and
court judgments and others. And of course, the common man is fast losing confidence and respect, you know, in the ability of the judiciary to dispense justice. So, what do you have to say in all of this?
I agree with the comments made by my learned friend in the studio. It is unfortunate for our democracy that court orders, a court will give an order in one jurisdiction, and then there will be a counter order over the same subject matter by another court, even if it is a court of coordinate jurisdiction. Now we're talking about a higher court, the Court of Appeal, giving an order that those that were elected in 2022 be reinstated, and of a state giving counter orders that elections should go on. It is bad for our democracy. As my colleague in the studio said, it is the highest level of judicial rascality, and the NJC needs to step in as a matter of urgency to clean its house. The temple of justice need not be desecrated in the manner with which it seems to have been done in Osun State. For democracy to thrive and for there to be rule of law, an individual must have confidence that my grievances will be heard by a court and that the court orders will be obeyed by the society. Those that are responsible for obedience to court orders or implementation of court orders and are in disobedience of court orders should not be allowed to go unpunished. It is a bad signal for our democracy, and politicians should not be allowed in whatever guise to desecrate the temple of justice. I think it is condemnable, and we'll call on the NJC to, as soon as possible, step into the matter, punish those who they have found erring to serve as deterrent to others. We cannot allow that to continue.
With local government administrators in Osun State, we have those who have been reinstated by the appeal court and those who have recently won elections. So we have to separate local government officials, and of course we can even expand it to what is also happening in Rivers State, where we have the Okojobo's faction and the army rulers functioning in pari passu. You know, both of them are sitting in different this is why the case is still going on, and it seems that the judiciary is very, very slow in deciding who is the authentic this. And we're also having the issue in Osun State now. The governor has his own, he has conducted, and of course the appeal court have their own that they have reinstated. So what is the status of all of this, and how does the judiciary come into, you know, to give confidence in the system? Because of course they are the bedrock of every democracy.
Now, for the members that have been newly elected in Osun State, their elections will be voided because the orders of the High Court cannot prevail over the orders of the Court of Appeal. The problem that we have is that the executive has wields too much enormous power. The executive are the ones responsible to implement the decisions of the court, and in most times they use the overwhelming power and the machinery of the police and other security agencies at their disposal to ensure that their will, instead of the will instead of the decisions of the courts, are implemented. That is the problem that we have. You cannot have elections when there's a court order that has said 22 other persons be reinstated. So you have two sets of people. Some of course have been those ones that have been elected. You can be sure that will be sworn in because it is still the government, it is still the executive that pays, that ensures that monies are paid, that ensures that their candidates win. It goes to the first to the idea of who are supposed to conduct local government elections. Local government elections, in my humble opinion, should be removed from the state independent commissions and given back to national to INEC. In that situation, I am not sure if INEC, with notice of a judgment of the Court of Appeal, will go ahead to conduct those elections. But the electoral commissions are under the state government. They are appointees of the state government. If they direct them to conduct the elections in spite of orders, they'll have no choice than to conduct those elections. Secondly, and we would
take your final words on the two issues we've discussed before we call it a day, because we're almost out of time. And before that, we also want to appreciate you for gracing the show and for your insightful analysis on this topic. So we'll just take 30 seconds on your last words on these two topics, and perhaps your advice or your summary of your take on these two topics before we call it a day.
Okay, thank you very much. It's a pleasure for me for having me on this program. On the Benue State issue, we call on the House of Assembly to properly examine the arguments for and against their actions and to do the needful, to recall, to go back on their decision to suspend or to remove the chief judge. On the issue of Osun State, we equally call on the governor and all those that are concerned to obey the judgment of the Court of Appeal, which reinstated those council members that were elected in 2020. Today, you may be on this side, tomorrow it will be on the other side. Institutions should never be desecrated in the manner that they have been desecrated. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much on your insightful analysis. Barrister Yaji is the MBA, the branch chairman, MBA branch Makurdi. Thank you very much. So Barrister Obiome, so what will be your last word on the issue concerning these two topics, because we are almost out of time. And
all right, on the Benue State issue, my take on it is that the members of the Benue State Assembly should retract their steps and allow due process to follow. They have submitted a petition to the NJC. They should allow the NJC to deal with that petition and let the Chief Justice remain until the NJC, which is the appropriate body to deal with that issue, takes action. That is that. And then concerning the Osun State election, now there will not be democracy, rule of law, and civil society if parties are not willing to obey orders and judgments of courts. If people go up about deciding which judgment to obey and which not to obey, that is not good for democracy. It's not good for rule of law, and it's not good for any society for that matter. And as far as Osun State is concerned, the election that was conducted in spite of the order of the Court of Appeal should not be allowed to stand. In fact, that election is null and void because already there's an order of a superior court saying don't conduct election, rather restate the people that were previously elected. To that extent, that election is illegal, is null and void, and the people that were elected or popularly elected have gotten nothing as far as I'm concerned.
All right, thank you very much.